Hey YouTubers, 95 Speed GTA. Today we're going to show you how to do front brake pads and rotors on a 1997 Saturn 4-door sedan. Okay, so we got the wheels off, and it's basically 4 bolts. I think it's a 19 millimeter. These are, I guess somebody put different type of lug nuts on, but I had to use a 3/4 inch to get it off. Put the tires underneath the car. And well, this is what we're looking at here. First of all, this brake system is a well, this is a brake caliper, of course. I'm pretty sure many of you guys know that. But this is called a slider system. And what the slider system is you got bolts. Well, these are bolt/slider pins, and these you're supposed to lubricate them, and they go in here, and the caliper, when compressed and depressed, slides in and out like this. Now, usually you'll have uneven wear when you get a frozen slider. This side doesn't have any frozen sliders, but the other side does. Alright, since we're doing rotors, we're going to do that first. So we got to get the caliper out of the way. So what we're going to do with that is, if you have some wire or some zip ties, what you want to do is you want to put it through one of the holes here, and you want to tie it up on the spring. It's not good to leave these calipers hanging because it puts stress. Damn bugs! It puts stress on the rubber hose, and you don't want that. All right, so pretty much that's how it is, nice and easy. And then we got these big bolts back here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat them up with a torch first, because I don't think they've been taken off in a long time, and I really don't want anything to break, because that makes the job more expensive. How flimsy those are. So let me go tie up the other end, and we're going to get to work on this. Alright, so we're ready. Watch the boot. Don't get this near any sensors. Right here is good enough. Just make sure you don't get that boot. Alright, let's give it a try. By the way, this is probably metric, because 11/16 fits. It's a little bit of a tight fit. Snug it on. Let's give her a try. There we go. See, this is what you want. And just to show you, I put it on this one. I'll give it a try. Won't even come. So heating it up makes it all worth the difference. Alright, so after you take that out, the bolts in so you don't lose them, then just grab the rotor and it comes off. Yeah, this rotor's pretty shot. I wouldn't even get it cut. That's why we got new rotors. So this looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the threads on this. They're a little dirty. And this, what I'm going to do with the bolts is, if you got a little workshop in your garage, or if you don't, but if you do, it's good, because you guys probably have like a buffing wheel or a cleaning wheel, and clean up all the threads on this, because we're going to clean up the threads, and we're going to put some Loctite on each of these when we're ready to reinstall them. And check the inside of here, make sure this is all nice and clean. That's not where the threads are. The threads are actually on this bracket. And then we're going to lubricate the slider system, so stay tuned. But we're going to put that off to the side, Alright, we're going to check everything. We're going to check the ball joint. Now's the time to look over your bushings and everything, see how everything is, how everything's doing, and replace if you need to. And if you don't hear any like whining sounds, any metal-to-metal contact or humming sounds coming from the front or left wheel, you know that the bearings are good. Brake hoses, they're pretty interesting to tell when they're bad or not. If you see any visual signs of like rotting and cracks in the rubber, I would replace it. You could usually tell when a when one of these go bad is when you have uneven wear in your brake pad. Like you think you need to do brakes, and you take the brake pads off, and one set of brake pads has plenty of wear, plenty of wear on it to where it's down to the metal and there's no more brake pad material, and the other one's absolutely fine. That's usually a brake hose. And looking at the calipers, this is okay. There's a little overlapping here of the seal. I'm going to lubricate all this, but this is going to be okay. But next time we do brakes, we're going to want to replace the calipers because these look like the originals. Okay, so we're getting ready to put everything on. So we put the brake pads in, which is which is really simple. Just don't touch the pads after you grease them. All right, now we're getting ready to put it on. We have the two slider assemblies sitting waiting, and what we do is we have to push the caliper back in. So this is what you do. Open up your reservoir because the fluid's going to come up. Sometimes when you leave the cap closed and you compress the caliper, it actually bursts open. I've had that happen once on a 1993 Cutlass Supreme, so we don't want that to happen. But we're going to take the old brake pad, which, like I said, the pads weren't really that bad. It's just the rotors were warped. Somebody changed the pads and then changed the rotors, so I'm not putting the pads back on. So take the pad, put it on, and grab your C-clamp. Put one behind here, and just put it exactly like this, and just dial it in until it doesn't dial in anymore, and it's just flush, and then you're going to be able to put it on. Alright, so now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean and lubricate the sliders to go back in. And what you want to get is some slider grease or wheel bearing grease. Anything will do. This is a really light coat, or any kind of petroleum grease. And we're going to put them back in. Make sure the threads are nice and clean. Put a little tiny dab of thread locker on there. I like to do that. And install. Okay, so this is what our end product looks like. Make sure the whole slider system is working properly and is lubricated, and everything is nice and clean. Get a can of brake clean and clean it all down. Check everything again, make sure all the hoses are nice, and well, that's it for one side. Don't forget to remove the old piece of zip tie. Alright, now we can put the wheel on, well, for this side.